Alright guys, so Toy Story 4. Right off the beaten path, I'm gonna say, I didn't know what to expect with this movie. I personally wasn't blown away by the trailer. I wasn't excited for it really at all, because I felt like the third Toy Story really wrapped up the three movies very well, and I didn't feel like it needed a fourth. And when they first announced the fourth, that they were gonna make a fourth one and sent around Bo Peep, I was like, no, I don't want this. Why? It's three perfect movies, two of which that have 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. The other one has like 99, and I think that's Toy Story 3. I just didn't see the point. There was no point. That being said, let's get into the review. So, this movie is legitimately great, okay? First off, just by the animation, how much it's grown and progressed over the years. With the first movie coming out in, like 1997 or 8, I think, and then the second one coming out in 99 or 2000 something, I can't remember. And then the third one, like 10 years later, coming out in 2010, around then, I think. And I remember when that one came out, because I had seen the first two, not in theaters, I wasn't even born yet, but I saw the first two, saw the third one. I didn't even realize the first two were made in the 90s till like last year, to be honest. And then now 10 years later, 10 or 11 years later, or 9, now they make Toy Story 4. And it takes place in the same time as Toy Story 3, because it says 9 years ago, because it's like a time jump into the past, and Andy's a kid, and that was 9 years ago, and then he grew up to be in college. So this is like right after Bonnie gets the toys. So anyway, I really liked the structure of the story. The story was pretty solid for the most part. The characters, of course, were good. Jessie wasn't used much at all, but she really had her moments in the second and third movie. In this one, she's really just a side character. As she's in it as much as the other characters that we just meet in Toy Story 3, like not much at all. But Woody's definitely the main character. Woody, Buzz, and Bo Peep, and then of course Forky, which Forky's more of a plot motivator, but he's a good plot motivator or plot device, whatever you want to call it. He's a good one. He's an actual character that has character, and I felt that a lot. He's just a good. He's a pretty good character, you know. Woody, of course, is a good character. He goes through a lot of the same lessons, but they're done in a different way and they're structured differently, and the outcome is different than what the other movies have. In the other movies, especially Toy Story 3, you know, he really wants to get back to Andy, and he's stuck at this wherever the daycare. He gets back, then he realizes he needs to move on to his other kid. In this one, the outcome is different. I'm not going to spoil it. I want you guys to go see this movie because it legitimately is a really, really good movie. Currently at like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, it definitely deserves that percent. And I'm also super glad I went and saw this movie over Zebra Laughing Pets 2. There's definitely no point to that movie. But this movie, yeah, the humor's great. Right off, I'm just gonna say that. Humor's great. Could be the funniest one, not sure. I'd have to go rewatch the first three. I didn't before going and seeing this. I probably should have, but I didn't have time or anything. I've seen them plenty of times. I know what they're like. But as for comedy, I won't compare them now. I just know that this one made some really good laugh out loud jokes. And I really like that about it. And then the emotion. Now, I'd watched a couple reviews before going and seeing this movie, and they said that this could possibly be the most emotional movie. And like 3/4 in, I looked at my watch, I was like, okay, this has to end soon, and so far I haven't gotten really any big emotional punches. And then something happens with Gabby, and I was like, whoa, I don't even know that Gabby, that's her name. She's the main villain. I don't even know this character, but just in the one movie, I felt really, really bad for her, and it was emotional. And then, of course, they always have to land one big, huge emotional punch at the end, as they do in every single Toy Story movie, except for maybe the first one. And wow, once I got that punch, I was like, I could agree. I think this might be the most emotional Toy Story movie that we've ever gotten. Toy Story moment, Toy Story movie, just everything. Because Woody really learns a new lesson. You know, he doesn't stick to the one idea that he has. He learns a new lesson and learns to move on. And yeah, so moving on to Gabby Gabby, the main villain. While the other three movies really have a set villain, you know, Sid from the first one, the lumberjack doll from the second one, and then of course the bear, the purple bear in the third one. I forget their names and everything, but still they have a set villain. They're the bad guys. They die by the, well, I mean, they don't die by the, I think purple doll dies. No, or does it? I can't remember what happens with the purple doll. No, it gets found and it gets put on the front of that trash truck. Anyway, but it always ends and there's just the bad guy. It's a set villain. But in this movie, it's really not. Like, it starts off and you know that Gabby Gabby's the villain, but really she's not a big villain, you know? She just desires something, which everyone desires something. But the thing that she desires, which is to be loved by a kid, is what every toy technically should want. I mean, it's what Woody loves. And when she learns that, and it's just, and then the emotional punch that happens in the movie, that happens through a moment with her, that was a big emotional punch, because it's just like, I don't know, you see that she just wants to be loved. And minor spoiler here, when she gets rejected, it's just like crushing, because you really feel bad for this doll. And it was a really good villain. She was a really, really good villain, not villain. Okay, I'll just say that. Keanu Reeves, man, I love him so much. He's so awesome as the Kaboom guy. It's just awesome, hilarious. Key and Peele, their chemistry together, of course, is just amazing. When they make the plans for what they should do to get a key, that planning is just hilarious. Probably, maybe the funniest moment of the entire movie. And then there's another scene right after that, after they're planning and everything, they reveal how they got the key, and it's just like, you laugh out loud. It's so hilarious. So yeah, all the guest stars like Key and Peele, like I said, and then like I said, Keanu Reeves, all great, all fantastic. All the other voice acting, you know, Buzz, I forget his name, Tom Hanks as Woody, all super awesome. Really, really, really well done. Now, I feel like while Toy Story 3 ended the trilogy, this movie really ends Woody's arc for himself, for his character. As for the other characters, not quite as much, but as for Woody's story himself and his arc and his character, they really do end it in a perfect way. If they make a fifth Toy Story movie, although he's the heart and soul of the movies, I really would not want him to be in it, just because they, or pull him back into the situation he was in before Toy Story, the end of Toy Story 4, because then that would retcon the end of Toy Story 4. I don't want that to happen. I love the end, and if they make a fifth one, I would just not want him to be in it, or want a story about him in his new life, you know, for the most part. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Toy Story 4. Great movie. If I were to give it a score, I would give it probably an 8.5 out of 10. Maybe even a 9, but probably not, just 8.5 out of 10. Really, really great animated movie. I don't know what's going to be able to compete with it. Maybe Frozen, just another Disney movie. But I don't think Lego Movie could beat it in Best Animated Picture. And I definitely think it's an option for Best Animated Feature Film, because it is really fantastic. It really holds up to the bar of the other movies, which is crazy high. So yeah, that's my review of Toy Story 4. Thank you so much for watching. Tell me what you thought about the movie down in the comments if you've seen it. Also follow us on Instagram, at Thomas and Jack Do Movies, okay? Because before this, I actually did a poll as asking people if they wanted me to do a review, and 3 people said they did. 2 of those people were me on Thomas and Jack Do Movies and on my personal account. I voted yes, and then one other person voted yes. So thank you, other person, for voting yes. So yeah, follow us on Thomas and Jack Do Movies, and peace out.